Hello and welcome back to the Alicia Show. I'm your host, Alicia Harris. I'm the founder of the company Alicia Lifestyle, and I'm super excited to have you here. If you are new, welcome. I'm happy that you found me, and I really, really hope that you are enjoying some of the topics that we discuss on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. And so I want to get straight into it because this episode was actually requested, and I am really, really happy to discuss this. Although I know for some people who may be going through this or who have had a loss, then it might be a little bit triggering. But for me, I'm happy to discuss this because I feel like it is part of my grieving process, but also because it's really important that we do speak about these conversations so we know that we're not alone. So today I am going to be talking about baby loss. And before I even dive into the conversation with you all, I just want to say to any of you who have experienced any type of baby loss, my heart goes out to you. And I just want to wrap you up in so much love, and just know that I am always here to have conversations about this particular subject, because I do believe that if we're not talking about it, then we're storing it within our bodies. And sometimes that doesn't help with our own process. And so I'm dedicating this conversation to all of us who have lost a child. And I just want you all to know that I'm always, always thinking about this particular subject and how it is affecting us all, because it is a difficult one. I am so happy that I am able to have this platform to be able to talk about this, because like I've said, a lot of us are suffering in silence, and I don't want that to continue to happen. I'm going to cast back to the beginning of 2017 when I was taking myself through a whole holistic journey. I had been told that I would not be able to naturally conceive. I was told that I had suspected polycystic ovaries, a blocked fallopian tube, and I also had fibroids. And all of these diagnoses had been found because I had been trying to conceive, and I had gone to my doctors and she had sent me for further tests. And so when I found out, I was really shocked. But at the same time, I wasn't, because I knew some of the symptoms. I'd gone through childhood with bad period pains. I had also gone through childhood with really bad acne skin. And so when I was told, I was just really, truly happy that I knew why I had been going through some of these symptoms. And so just to give you a little bit more background, I had started my period when I was 12. I had gone onto the pill. I think I was maybe 16 or 17. And that wasn't just for contraception. That was more to help with my hormone imbalances for my skin. I had taken topical antibiotics by that time. I had ingested antibiotics. I was on all types of cocktails of paracetamols and painkillers because I had really, really painful periods. And sometimes they would literally take me out for days. And so I had tried to suppress all of these feelings that I was having, because that was the prescriptions that I was always provided. That was the instructions I was given. That was what the doctors basically told me to do. They basically told me to suppress any of these feelings and gave me a tablet to be able to do it. So it wasn't until my late 20s, between 29 up until about 31, that I decided that it was really time to look at what I was eating, what I was ingesting, what I was putting onto my body externally, and what I was internalizing and just to get really, really focused on everything that I was doing from a lifestyle perspective. And luckily, I had been studying well-being and wellness. And so a lot of the information that I had been studying, I started to use on myself. That is when I became an avid keen juicer. Before everybody was up in arms about it being a fad diet and so forth, I was juicing. I was taking juices to work. I remember I used to take my big old flask to my corporate role and people would be like, what is that? And now everybody is drinking juices because they understand the benefits. However, at that time, I was just trying to cleanse my body, detox my body of all of the toxins that I had been taking in over the course of over a decade. And I automatically saw my skin clear up and I felt better. I had more energy and I felt good. And whilst I was at work, I was ensuring that I was moving my body. There was always a gym on site, or I would go to the local gym where I was working and I would move my body. I would go for walks at lunchtime. So I was really trying to take care of myself. And then my mum got diagnosed with multiple myeloma. And that's when I decided to take my health journey and her health journey up a notch in order to help to prolong her life as well. And so I did that, and it was really helpful for her to get as much good nutrients as she could within her body, especially those times where she didn't have appetite. I would really, really make sure that I was ensuring that she got her vitamins and her nutrients and her nourishment from the juices that I prepared for her. So Sunday in our household was a juice preparing day. I would make sure that I got all of the organic produce, and then I would spend literally hours juicing for her and then putting things in a freezer so that she could just take out juices as and when she needed it, and I could take juices to work. And so I did that until she died. I was bringing her juices into the hospital because I used to turn up and be mortified about the beige food that they were providing her, which had no vitamins or nutrients in them. And so I did that until she sadly passed away. And then my husband and I decided that we were going to try for a baby. And then when I got the results back to say that I had polycystic ovaries and the fibroids and the blocked fallopian tube, and I would not be able to conceive naturally, and I would have to have a operation and then IVF, that was a little bit of a shock to the system. However, me being who I am, I was like, I know what I need to do. I have done it before, and I went straight into a cleansing phase. I wanted to cleanse my body. Obviously, my mum had just passed away, so I was inflamed with inflammation because I was grieving, I was sad, I was resentful, I was angry, I was all of the feels because I had just lost one of my best friends. She wasn't just my mum. We'd speak every day. We lived 10 minutes away from each other. She was the person, she was my everything, you know, and I had lost her. And for so long, I was in full distraction mode because I could not believe that I would never, ever hear her voice again. I would never be able to pick up the phone and ring my mum and say, guess what? Or ring her and tell her about a funny joke or send her text messages. I was just in denial that I would never, ever be able to do that again. And so I was holding on to a lot of that grief. And my body was just like, no, we are not going to try and house a baby in this space. So I had to do a lot of grieving. In fact, one of my first business coaches, and we spent 3 months just working on my grieving because I couldn't concentrate on anything else. And so my business coaching became life coaching, but then it was really the foundation of my business because had I not had done the work, I probably would not be sitting here now talking to you. I would not be able to tell my story because it would still be so painful. So we spent a lot of time doing that, working through my grief. and also taking care of myself, ensuring that I again went back to that holistic lifestyle of ensuring that everything that I used, everything that I ate was organic. Every move that I was making in my lifestyle was to ensure that I became a parent. And I was not taking no for an answer. I was not taking my doctor or my consultant's opinion and saying that was it. I took that as information and I built on top of that information. And I'm so happy that I took that chance on myself, because a lot of the time we don't give ourselves the agency to do that. We take what other people say about us and for us as gospel. And I want to just say here and now that that doesn't have to be the case. You have the agency to say, I need a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh opinion, or I'm going to take actions into my own hands when it comes to my own health. And I'm going to try different alternatives first. And that's what I did. I wasn't saying no to the medical assistance that I was being provided with, but I was saying to my consultant, give me a little bit more time. Although he didn't really want to, he kind of had to, because when my first appointment came up, it was in conflict with the day I was leaving work. And so I couldn't take that hospital appointment. And the second one, it was just after my uncle passed away. And there was no way that I was going under the knife after losing my mum 18 months prior and then losing my uncle afterwards. I just didn't feel right doing that. And so I asked for that appointment to go to somebody else and for me to be put later down on the list. And I know for some people, they'll be like, oh, but Alicia, you were 37. Weren't you worried? And yes, I was a little bit worried, but I also had faith in what I was doing for myself. And so I took matters into my own hands and I did my alternative therapies. And within 6 weeks of working with an acupuncturist, I was pregnant. And now I was on holiday in Cyprus with my cousin, and I didn't have any idea that I was pregnant. And then I came back and I went to my acupuncture appointment and I said to my acupuncturist, I'm late. I've bought a pregnancy test with me. Should I do it? And he said, yes, do it, do it. And so I did. When I came back, we were both very shocked, but he still did his treatment on me. And he told me from the get-go, don't get too attached to what is happening here. Let's just continue to work on building up your strength. And so at that time, I was like, what are you talking about, Willis? I'm pregnant. My body is pregnant. I was told that this would not happen. And I am now here pregnant. And so I'm going to be very excited about that. I didn't tell anybody. It was just kept between Darren and I think 2 other close friends. And I went about my business until I started to get really, really strong uterus pains. I was at a doctor's appointment. It was the appointment to confirm my pregnancy. And she said to me, if you see any signs of spotting, then you must come back straight away. And lo and behold, I went to the toilet. I hadn't even left the appointment and I saw some spotting and she sent me for an early scan. And so I went for my early scan and they told me to come back. So my first scan was fine and they told me to come back for a second scan in 2 weeks' time. And that second scan just coincided with my mum's 2nd year anniversary. And so I had my mum's 2nd year passing anniversary. And then I went back to the hospital on that Friday, the same hospital that my mum had passed away in. And I went back there. And that's when we were told that there was no heartbeat and that the baby hadn't survived. And I think I was around 8 weeks pregnant at that time. I was in complete shock. And I remember being in the same ward as women who were still pregnant and being asked if I wanted the fetus, as they call it, to pass naturally or if I wanted to have an operation. And I opted for the operation. And the reason why I opted for the operation is because I was told that it was one, very painful for the miscarriage to be brought on, but also if anything was left, then they may have to operate anyway. And so I found out on the Friday. I was back on the Monday for my operation. And then I think I was back at work on the Wednesday or the Thursday. Yes. Now, looking back, I wish I hadn't have done that because I didn't give myself any grieving space. I didn't tell anybody at work because at that time I was in the process of maybe being made permanent. And so for me, I was like, oh, like, firstly, I didn't know I was going to get pregnant so quickly. And secondly, I don't think they would have been too happy if they had employed me and then I was pregnant. And so I just thought, because I was in my early stages, that I didn't know what was going to happen, it was best that I didn't share it with anybody. I didn't even know if I was going to take the role. And so I just kept everything to myself, to my husband, and to the small circle of friends that I had told that I was pregnant. I didn't realize is that I went back into that full distraction mode of not grieving. And I think this is what we do. We kind of just brush things aside. And I remember sitting down with a friend of mine the day that I found out that I had miscarried. And she dropped everything and she came and she picked me up and she took me out for a drink. And I was in shock. I was literally in shock. And she basically said to me, this has happened to me. And it wasn't until then that I even realized that people were having miscarriages and not discussing them, because when I then started to talk about mine, that's when everybody else started to open up about theirs. And I felt like I was seen, but I still wish that I had had some more assistance with my grief, because I just went back into that work cycle. I went back to life. My acupuncturist was like, do you trust me? I was like, yes, 100%. I trust you. And he said, I recommend that you give your body time to rest and heal, and then we will try again. And I am so thankful that he gave me that recommendation and those instruction and that permission to take the time and the space to heal my body. I continue to have sessions with him. He realigned my body. I continued to eat well and I did rest. I ended up not taking the permanent role because I knew, one, that I wanted to be a mum more than any job. And so it was really important for me to take that headspace. And the other day I was asked, and I'm laughing, I was asked if I was able to leave work because, no, the other day I was asked, actually, it was assumed that I was able to leave work because my husband was financially able to look after us both. And I corrected the person because I really want people to understand that, again, this was my decision. And so it was me who wanted to leave work. It was me who made the decision that I really wanted to be a mum. Obviously, we had made the decision together. I can't make children on my own, but it was my decision to leave work. So I financially wanted to be okay. I didn't want to then have to look at my husband to ask for money whilst we tried to get pregnant. I didn't want to feel the stress of us financially not being in a great space and then me having to feel like I'm dependent on somebody else whilst I was doing all of this work to help my body be ready. And so for me, it was really key that I was able to continue to look after myself financially in order for me to take the time off and for me to be a mum. And I'm grateful that I was able to do that for myself because it made things so much lighter for our relationship, but also for me as a woman who's always been independent. And I wanted to continue to feel that way. And so when it came to taking care of myself, maybe I didn't do the traditional things like therapy or rushing into getting pregnant again. I was given the advice to heal and rest and restore and actually reflect. And that's exactly what I did. I continued to build on the building blocks that I'd already started to weave into my lifestyle to ensure that I was healing my body from the fibroids and the polycystic ovaries and helping with the blocked fallopian tube, which in fact is the same fallopian tube that I conceived from. And so the body is absolutely amazing. And I am so, so thankful for it because now I've got a beautiful baby girl. And had I not taken a chance on myself, she may not have been here. And so I just wanted to reiterate, whatever you decide to do, it's not wrong. But if you have any intuitive feeling that you want to investigate, then I'm here to say, investigate it. Ensure that you have turned all of the stones over. Ensure that you have tried everything. Don't let anybody else tell you about their story. We're all unique. We all need to go through this journey our separate ways. Yes, we should be talking about it and we should be getting guidance, but we are all individuals. And so what may have worked for me may not work for you. However, I still want you to know that there are so many different alternatives and tools out there that may help, but that you may not know about. And so this is the reason why I continue to share my story and I continue to focus on fertility and baby loss and perimenopause and menopause and eating well and ensuring that you are the biggest investment because you are the most important person in this scenario. Your thoughts, your intuition, your gut matters. And that's really, really key. For a lot of things in life, you matter. What you think matters. And for me, it was really important for me to have a safe and supportive community of people that knew what was going on. Because for those who cared not to know, it was hard being around them. And that's what I want to say too. You know, sometimes you may not be able to be around your friends who may have family. You may not be able to be around little children or big children. You may need to hibernate. I needed to hibernate for some time. I needed to not be around my party friends, my social friends. I needed to basically reset. And part of that meant that I missed out on dinners, I missed out on drinks, I missed out on outings because I truly needed to be with myself. I needed to be able to take that time to journal, to visualize, because ultimately that's what I did. In the end, I visualized my daughter. I knew exactly what she was going to look like. I knew exactly what her skin tone was going to look like, what her hair was going to look like, what her smile was going to look like. I visualized it all. So when I was going through my pregnancies and I had to have numerous scans because one of my fibroids was right next to my birthing canal. Every time I went for a scan, the person would ask, so, oh, do you want to know what you're having? And I would say, no, I don't need it to be confirmed. I know exactly what I'm having. And so when the doctor delivered and he said, it's a girl, in my head, I was like, I know, because that's exactly what I asked for. And so I got really super clear on what I wanted and I made the request and then I waited to receive. And again, I'm not saying it's that simple, but for me, I believed 100% that that's what I needed to do. And that's what I needed to believe that I was going to get everything that I wanted. And that's what happened in December of 2018. I got what I wanted. I got what I truly wanted, but I still grieve. And my daughter asks me, now and again, Mummy, can I have a brother or a sister? And if I'm really honest with you, when she first asked me that, it broke my heart because I was scared. I am scared to go through that trauma. I feel like I got what I wanted. And so I should be happy and content with that. And I'm afraid to try again because it was really hard. It was really hard coming back from my baby loss. It's really hard to hear about people's baby losses. It's really hard to hear about people losing their children full stop. And so I told her that Mummy tried really hard to have you, and I don't know if I can do it again. And she, the sweet person that she is, she said, "That's okay, Mummy. You, Daddy, and me, that's enough." Wow. And I just love that girl for really understanding that we are enough and everything that we do is for her and for ourselves. And so that's truly what I wanted to share today is don't take no for an answer. If you truly believe that there are other avenues that you want to try them. Make sure that you have a really supportive group of people around you. If there's any negative vibes in the people around you, then it's time to say goodbye for this season because you need all of the positive vibes around you. You don't want to hear about people telling you about the what ifs. Make time to have time with yourself. Look at what you're eating, what you're putting on your body. Do a cleanse if you can, and get yourself ready, get your mind ready as well. Start doing some work on the grief, especially if you've lost before. Get some grief counseling, get some grief therapy. I would really, really highly recommend that. And also just remember that your partner has gone through this as well. And so they may need some help, some support going through this as well. I remember speaking to my husband, and he said at times he felt like he wasn't allowed to feel sad or grieve because it hadn't happened to him, but it had 100% happened to him as well because he lost as well. And so remember all of these things. And also remember, if there are any other questions that you have, please, please, please reach out. I'm always, always on hand to talk about this because it's really important. But also, if you know anybody who needs to talk about this, then please, please reach out to me or pass on my details. I've done other episodes on this subject, so I will make sure that I link those conversations into the show notes so that you can listen back to them. But I just want to leave you with some hope. Like, don't give up. Don't give up if this is truly what you want. Try and find different avenues. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I'm here to assist you with the thought process. And so if you need to brainstorm about ideas of what can be done, then please again reach out. But listen to your gut. If you feel like this is not it for you, then please investigate. That's exactly how I felt. I was like, no, I need to clean up my body. I need to get rid of the inflammation. I need to change my mindset. I need to make space for the baby that I 100% want. I need to do all of those things. And that's exactly what I did. And then thankfully, I received what I asked for. So I'm here to say, ask and then do the steps that you need to do to receive. Okay. I hope this conversation was useful. Please let me know. I love to hear from you. And for those of you who are avid listeners, please, please share with somebody else who needs to know about the Alicia Show. We don't just talk about lifestyle strategies, we talk about business strategies as well. And so I am super, super excited to continue to share these conversations with you. Anyway, until next time, please, please, please take care of yourself. You are the biggest investment. Take care for now. Bye-bye.